So far in this chapter, we've been primarily focusing on exposure, but another fundamental concept is that of frame rate. And as we'll look at in the next two movies, frame rate can also have an indirect effect on your exposure. It's important to remember that video is just a series of still images, called frames, that are played back in rapid succession. The speed at which those frames play back is called the frame rate. The frame rate for film is typically 24 frames per second. This is what cinema has always looked like, and it has a very distinctive style to it. Now, I love the way 24 frames per second footage looks, but one of the drawbacks to it is that it does have a tendency to kind of create this strobing effect when the camera moves too fast. And when I say moves too fast, the camera really doesn't have to move very fast at all to get this ugly strobing effect. It happens when you pan, tilt, anytime you move the camera quickly, it happens. And it's this annoying attribute of 24 frames per second footage that led Peter Jackson to experiment with a 48 frames per second frame rate on The Hobbit. As we'll look at in the series on editing, when we talk about the closing credits of The Assurance, more frames per second means smoother playback. However, having more frames per second does make the film look more like real life. Now, that's a great thing for some moviegoers and not a great thing for others. Changing the frame rate from 24 frames per second is definitely not a decision to be taken lightly. Next, we'll look at how to adjust the frame rate to create slow motion footage.